Hi, welcome to week 5. Uh, now we're starting to get to the nitty-gritty. I bet you're all realizing. Because of that, I wanted to propose a new addition to our course, and let me know what you think of this. If it's something that you're interested in, please email me or put something on the Q&A boards to let me know, and I can start it as soon as I hear from you. But I was considering adding another sort of question forum that would be a place for more than just the Q&A board, but an actual place where you could pose a question and I could respond to it via video, so that if you had a term that maybe you weren't too clear on and you needed further explanation, the difference between two things or whatever it might be, I could make a short video and put it up there for you to watch. So if you think that would be helpful to you, or if you've had questions that you wish you could have seen my face as I answered something to you, let me know and we can add that to the class. That won't be any trouble at all. So I'll look forward to hearing if that's something that you want. This week we're concentrating on Chapter 5. I know that the syllabus indicates we're talking about, we're still reading Chapters 4 and 5, and last week I urged you to concentrate more of your efforts on Chapter 4 and leave Chapter 5 for this week. So if you've done that, I think you'll find yourself better prepared for what you'll find in Chapter 5. If you didn't, then you already have been struggling with Chapter 5 and you'll be in the right place this week. We're still talking about research, design, and measurement, but now we're getting into sort of the nitty-gritty about what concepts are and how we measure them in the social sciences, because we don't have hard, tangible things we can look at, describing a rock, boring into it, looking at it microscopically. We're much more in the business of theoretical ideas, things like love, hate, satisfaction. So we have to come up with measures that we can all agree on, ways of observing these constructs that we can all agree is a reliable, valid, accurate, precise, etc. way of doing so. So that's what the focus of this week's readings are on. And it's very important because when you start writing your proposal, you'll have to be able to tell us what your construct is, what the concepts are, how they will be measured, how you operationalize them. For example, look at articles. I've encouraged many of you to already start looking at articles for your mini proposal. If you haven't already started doing that, you should be doing that now, as in preparation for that introduction that's due in 2 weeks. 2 weeks? Yeah, 2 weeks. Read those articles. You will see that maybe it's an article about, for example, it might be an article about child care quality. Well, you'll see, you might be saying, well, where's the place where they define child care quality, what that means? The article, the way they'll do it is it'll have measures, and then they'll have the Early Childhood Environment Rating Scale, or Caregiver Interaction Scale, or an Attachment Q-Sort, or some sort of measure, and that's how they're operationalizing that concept. And you might have seen it in other things, measuring quality of home environments for children using the HOME, H-O-M-E. And so you'll oftentimes see that. That's how people want to know, how are you going to measure this? How will you operationalize this term, this concept? I encourage you, a lot of times students say, well, I don't want to go to the trouble of finding a measure or an instrument for my proposal, so I'm just going to make one up. Well, I encourage you to read the information about establishing validity and reliability. If you make up your own measure, you have to tell me how you will establish reliability. Are you going to use the test-retest method, the split-half method, all that stuff? So you may save yourself some heartache if you just go to the literature and find an already established measure and then report the reliability and validity of that measure as reported by the authors who originally field tested it. Again, going to the original source, not just taking somebody else's word for it. Okay, you're going to get into some stuff this week that I think that is going to be finally what those of you who've been waiting for some challenge are looking for. And for those of you who have still been sort of coming along slow, you may find it to be a challenging week, but if you have questions, just let us know and we can do our best to help bring you through it. Many of you have asked about the introduction assignment that is due in 2 weeks. That is typically, for the purposes of a proposal, maybe 3 to 4 pages long. It's not a really long section of the paper. But it is the hook. It is the part of the manuscript or the proposal that lets the person know, why should this study even be done? So you usually want to start off, I try to tell students, start off pretty broad. I wish I had, I have sort of a visual for you here. I want you to imagine that your proposal is a funnel, okay? The whole proposal is this funnel. And the introduction is this top part. This is the broad thing. This is the why it's important. So for example, in my area of research I look at child care quality. So my broad part up here is going to be how many children experience non-parental care? How many women are in the labor force, resulting in how many children receive non-parental care? Is this a situation that's growing quickly? These are the kinds of things I would talk about here. And I'd also talk about the quality levels of child care in the United States right now. So I'm going to be making this case, this broad case up here, for how many people need non-parental care for their children, what the quality level is of the existing care, and what the implications are for children. Okay, that's my broad thing. That's the hook. That's the why is this important to even keep reading. And then as I narrow, my literature review is going to be this little section right in here. Okay, I've been broad, and now I'm starting off broad, but I'm bringing it down. I'm bringing it in. So I might be talking about, for example, I have a study I'm doing on licensing, on acceptability versus availability. So I've started with my broad stuff. And then here I'm talking more about, I'm defining literature, all the literature, not just the literature that agrees with me, but all the literature out there that talks about how child care is licensed, how it's regulated, whether or not that's meeting quality standards or not, what kind of care children are finding themselves in, how much care is available in certain places, and what the implications are for state regulation, okay? And in that, I'm pointing out gaps, areas people have identified for future research, questions that I have about other people's methodology. Well, this is what they found, but the measure they used was this, and that's been shown to not be reliable. You can see what I'm saying. So that, by the time I get to my research questions, I'm down here at the bottom of my funnel. So I've started broad, and I've narrowed down. By the time I get to read your research questions, I should already know what you're going to ask, because you have been pointing it out in the lit review. The gaps, the places where somebody found something that you think, or maybe there were contradictory findings or conflicting results, I should be able to predict what you're going to be asking based on what you've written in your lit review. And then your method, your design, should feed to those questions. You have to be able to ask the question in a way that can be measured the way you say you're going to measure it. So if you want to look at correlations, then I'm expecting you to be getting indicators that we can then measure the relationship with one another and determine if it's a positive or negative relationship. And then I certainly don't want you to be using correlational measures to tell me about causality, right? Because we all know the hang-ups there. So it's a funnel. It all leads to your questions. Your questions directly inform the measures you will have to use and the way you will analyze your data. The measures also inform the way you'll analyze. And then your analysis, you report your results, and then your interpretation, your discussion section, if you were going that far, would bring it all back around to the lit review, making links between what's already known. If there was a gap here, you filled it, and here's how, those kinds of things. So if you can imagine a funnel as you start your introduction, and your introduction is this little gold piece right here. This is the broad, the hook, the why, the so what. Why should we even do this study? You've got to make that case, or the rest is not worthwhile to read. Okay. So hopefully that helps you as you really get digging into that introduction that's due in 2 weeks. Good luck. Let me know if we've gone too fast for you, if you're getting confused, and let me know if you want me to incorporate that new video Q&A piece. Good luck to you. Have a good week, and I'll see you next week, same time, same place.